right now. We are 2 minutes away from the end of the trading day. Romaine Bostick here with Isabelle Lee. Katie Greifeld is off on the day. We're taking you through to that closing bell at the global simulcast. Carol Massar and Tim Stenovec join us now. Welcome to our audiences across all of our Bloomberg platforms, television, radio, our partnership with YouTube here for our hydration break as we take you to the closing bell. Carol.
No joke, man. It's hot out there, and then there's the smoke and the air conditions. It's kind of a meh.
Right over our head, Tim.
Sometimes I just choose to ignore you, okay?
I thought it was good. I thought it was good.
Thank you, Tim.
I'm a World Cup fan. What can I say?
Yeah.
Oh, God. You know, Isabelle, these bros, man, sticking together.
Bros,
That's what happens.
Yeah, you know me and Tim, bros.
Yeah. We're just in the dressing room talking sports all day.
Should I wear the blue suit or the gray? Which tie do you like?
No, I have Romaine tie my ties for me.
Do you really?
Oh.
Romaine,
I don't wear
really?
ties.
You don't wear ties?
I don't.
It's very cute. Yeah.
Is it my turn?
Yeah.
I do want to get serious a little bit because there's still a question about what happens and what is happening in the Middle East. The Wall Street Journal out with this story just in the last 20, 25 minutes about the president reporting that the president is leaning toward expanding U.S. military operations in Iran. Expanded U.S. efforts in Iran could include ground forces, according to the Wall Street Journal. There's talk about Karg Island, though the president has not made a final choice on the next steps in Iran. So this is still part of the market backdrop and certainly the energy backdrop too, Romaine.
Yeah, and we were just talking about an hour ago when we started our show, the close, oil prices, oil futures are relatively flat on the day. Now, both WTI and Brent up about 1%. WTI back above $80 a barrel. Brent crude back above 85. Meanwhile, we get the closing bells in New York for equity prices, and we have a mixed bag here. Green across the screen for most of the major indices, with a couple of notable exceptions. The Dow Jones Industrial Average higher by 150 points, or 0.3%. The S&P higher by 29 points, or 0.4%. The Russell 2000 unchanged on the day. But I want you to take a look. The Nasdaq Composite up about 0.6% on the day. We don't have it on the screen there, but the Nasdaq 100 is in the red, Carol. It's down about 0.3%. And that's largely because of, once again, a bit of a sell-off in the chip space.
Yeah, right? It just, the swinging when it comes to those semi-names continues. And again, actually, we got some earnings, Romaine.
Yeah, let's get right to it. We heard from Delta Airlines last Friday. It was a relatively bullish earnings report. United Airlines now crossing the wire for the second quarter. The company says that adjusted EPS did beat $1.99 a share. The street, on average, was looking for $1.85. Revenue, operating revenue, just above analyst estimates at about $17.7 billion. Available seat per miles did beat, as did some of its CapEx numbers. Revenue per passenger miles relatively in line with estimates at about $72.7 billion. And here's the guidance. The company, Carol and Tim, they say, and Isabelle say, that adjusted EPS for the full year will go up. It will be $9 to $11 per share. It had previously saw a range of $7 to $11 per share. So basically raising the low end of that estimate from $7 to $9 per share. The street on average looking for about $10.51.
Yeah, I'm looking at oil, like the oil commentary from Scott Kirby in this, because what United says is based on oil prices as of yesterday. United expects nearly $6 billion in added fuel expense for full year 2026 compared to the expectation at the start of the year. In the second quarter, fuel expense was up $2.3 billion, or 84% year over year. The company recovered approximately half of this increase. In the third quarter, the company expects to recover about 80 to 90% of the increase, and 100% by the fourth quarter. Yields up 12% during the quarter, so strong demand. But you know, this business is so sensitive to fluctuations in oil and jet fuel prices that, you know, you see a lot of movement one way or the other when there are big moves in the market. Yeah,
and kind of telling that they were willing to narrow their range for EPS guidance, but not actually raise the high end of that here. So that might actually say a lot more than what they actually said.
Yeah, also just breaking it down, premium revenue up 16% compared to the second quarter of 2025. Revenue from basic economy up 11%. Loyalty revenue up 11%. Cargo revenue up 23%. They say close-in demand remained robust, with contracted business revenue up 27% in the quarter. The economy cabin continues to recover, with unit revenue up 12%, marking 2 consecutive quarters of positive growth, but still looking at the stock down about 2.8% here in the after hours. Year to date, though, the stock is up about 8%. Isabelle.
Let's take a look at the IMAP now. So we saw kind of a split screen with the S&P ending higher and the Nasdaq ending lower. And when you look at the IMAP, it's looking mixed. The biggest gainers, tech higher by 0.3%. Financials, of course, after the blockbuster earnings season when 6 out of 6 really saw beats, higher by 0.7%. Down energy, you're seeing it lower by 0.5%, and materials lower also by 0.2%.
I do want to go back to United Airlines and to Starlink, because as these airlines are increasingly investing in connectivity for their customers, United is certainly one to watch because it does have this deal with Starlink. If you've flown on a United Express flight in recent months, you've experienced Starlink. These are the smaller airplanes, the regional jets. Romaine, I don't know if you've done this maybe. The connectivity, it's like faster than when you're at home or on the ground. I flew on one of these planes just a couple days ago. The company's saying that customer satisfaction scores on flights with Starlink are twice as high as on other United flights. And wondering now, and it's free. It's free for United Mileage Plus customers. It's a big investment that United is making, but it's a way for them to differentiate from other airlines. And now they're saying they're going to get it to their entire fleet in the next couple of years.
And this has been a big question that I've asked a lot of the airline analysts that we have on, is what is the differentiation, at least between the big three, United, Delta, and American here in the U.S. And it really is about the in-cabin experiences. It's funny you mentioned, that United, of course, provides that for free. We should point out one of their competitors doesn't, unless you're, part of their rewards program. So there is a disparity there. And I think you're starting to see a lot of these companies pay a lot closer attention to what they're offering in there to try to justify, let's just face it, some of the elevated prices for those seats.
I'm smiling because I have no brand loyalty. I just go to Google and then the cheapest flights, that's what I book. So my points and my reward system, they're all over the place. I have almost zero, but I guess that's the price I pay for being disloyal.
All right, guys. J.B. Hunt, a trucking company, out with their earnings. Let's go through the numbers. Second quarter EPS, that's a beat, $1.91 a share. The estimate on the street was for $1.74. Second quarter revenue also coming in better than forecast by the street, $3.5 billion. The street estimate was for $3.25 billion. Second quarter intermodal revenue, that too is a little bit higher, $1.75 billion versus an estimate of $1.6 billion. And second quarter dedicated revenue, $921 million. Estimate on the street was $897.3. Stock is up 2.2%. We love to see the transportation sector, what is going on. Commentary is also always so important because it's a great read on the economy.
Well, speaking of commentary, Shelley Simpson, the president and CEO of J.B. Hunt, talking about cost discipline in a, quote, dynamic environment. She said, Shelley Simpson, president and CEO, also saying that market conditions are continuing to evolve. The company remains focused on creating long-term value for our shareholders, delivering valuable solutions to our customers while maintaining discipline around return on capital. So discipline, cost discipline, a dynamic environment, market conditions evolving.
And this gets to the idea, too, that we had this sort of a big trucking recession, and then that kind of shook out a lot of players, and that benefited the folks, of course, who did survive. And, of course, there's an economic story that underpins it all as well, Tim and Carol, and this idea here that if the consumer is still spending, but also the idea that a lot of these trucking companies, they've been making a lot of money, not on the consumer side, but on the industrial side. There's been a huge ton of activity with regards to manufacturing that has to be shipped around the country, and J.B. Hunt and some of its peers have been big beneficiaries of that.
And now you're looking at shares of J.B. Hunt climbing 2% after they top estimates in post-market. So it's really going to be interesting to hear what their commentary will be, because to Carol's point, it's going to be in the weeds of the economy. And I feel like the banks, their earnings, they were great. They were blockbuster, rock star, as Anastasia Amoroso earlier said. But this is a different sector of the economy, and it's still interesting to hear what they will be saying.
Yeah, it's interesting. And as you said, I mean, the stock's on fire this year. It's up about, I think, 46% year to date. And again, getting another bump to the upside. But, things like airlines, too, I just keep thinking about how they are increasingly, it feels like, catering to a wealthier customer and offering, more choices, if you will, for a wealthier passenger. And so great reads on the economy, but maybe increasingly a sector of our economy.
Well, yeah, and you saw that, right? I mean, it's
Yeah.
not, you don't think it. I mean, Ed Bastian, that interview he gave to Lisa Abramowitz a couple of days ago, he kind of made it clear. I mean, that's where they're moving, right? It's expand business class, expand first class, and try to milk as much as you can out of those folks.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.